Investigators also spoke with a limo driver named Alan Park. He was the one who'd taken OJ to the airport the night before. According to Alan, he'd arrived at the Rockingham house at 10:25 p.m., a little on the early side. Alan was new and didn't want to be late. When he buzzed the intercom to tell OJ he was outside, no one answered. Just before 11, Alan saw a tall, large black man walking across the driveway toward the main house. He figured, well, it must be OJ, so he buzzed the intercom again. That time, OJ answered. He said he'd overslept and had just gotten out of the shower. He'd be down in a few. As he approached the limo, Alan noticed OJ was sweating. A lot. But rather than comment on it, he just helped OJ put his bags in the trunk. Except for one small duffel bag that OJ insisted Alan didn't touch.
Let's talk about how guilt can manifest physically. When someone experiences guilt, especially if they're consciously aware of it and it's acute, the body can go into a state of hyperarousal. And sweating, increased heart rate, restlessness, tension, and hypervigilance are common. Now, let's apply this to OJ from a psychological perspective. His sweating, his anxiety, the agitation you described, or the hyper-focus on, especially on his belongings in that mysterious duffel bag, this is behaviorally consistent with someone under immense psychological pressure, and that can certainly be due to guilt. But the reality is hyperarousal isn't exclusive to feelings of guilt. It occurs when someone experiences fear or trauma, shame, or an acute stress reaction to a life-threatening situation. And this is not something that we can definitively say, from a psychological perspective at least, that it is from guilt alone. And even so, as forensic psychologists, our expertise is never to render an opinion of guilt or innocence. That's left to the trier of fact, which is the courtroom. And instead, we're utilized to offer opinions regarding a diagnosis, regarding their competency, risk of future violence, and malingering, which is the feigning of psychiatric symptoms, as well as patterns of behavior, especially in intimate partner violence.
Are these things that cops at the moment would be picking up on, though? Like if they were talking to someone that seemed guilty?
Yeah, either not like clinically trained, but they do have some training in interrogation techniques, and they're strategic interviewers, so they know what questions to ask and they know what kind of mannerisms to look for, what's congruent, what's not congruent with the context. So they do have some of that background.
And would you ever be at risk? This is a personal experience. I was involved with a murder one time and questioned, not particularly as a suspect, but I was right there. So, and I was amazed how nervous I got. Like once they pulled me aside and I realized like, oh, I'm the first one here. So theoretically they have to be like, what were you doing
Yeah,
here?
exactly.
Could it be you? And so I was like, oh, I have to make sure they know I'm not innocent or not guilty. Actually, that was perfect. 'Cause like I was like, oh my God, I'm sputtering, I'm sweating, I'm misstating things. I'm trying to be funny in ways that are appropriate. I'm like, this must look so guilty.
Yeah, but that's also, like I mentioned, that's hyperarousal, which can happen from fear. And your fear is probably related to like, I'm under pressure right now. This looks innocuous. The pressure to prove yourself. You are in a situation that you're normally not in, like how many people are experiencing, being around a murder. Unfortunately, I've been around many in a prison, but like that's a normal reaction to something like that. And so that's why we always say you can't just say this is from one thing alone. These reactions happen whenever there's a psychological situation, something that's creating that hyperarousal. So it's not necessarily just from guilt. It's not necessarily just from fear. You can get that from just being pulled over by police. I know I've been that way. I've been like, oh no, what'd I do? What did I do? And it's, it happens. It's natural.
Yeah. But I guess it becomes one part of the puzzle then to be tried.
Yes,
in the courts.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we say it's up to the trier of fact. I'm here to determine, like, is there a diagnosis? What's the, conceptualize the individual. What's their risk of future violence? Is there a pattern of behavior? Is there malingering? Is there manipulation? Like, those are the things I could weigh in on.